everyone, this is Veronica Johnson with So It Seems, and welcome to my studio. We are now in June. I believe today is June 5th that I'm recording this particular video, and today I'm going to do just a little bit of an update on a couple of projects that I've been working on. The first project you actually can see right now. It is right behind me here on this door. And this is my temperature quilt. I finally have it finished. I'll stand to the side a little bit. You can see the entire quilt as it's hanging on my door. And I will bring it down and give you a few little close-ups on how I was able to finish a few parts of these. To recap on a temperature quilt, it is recording the temperature for each day throughout the entire year of 2021. And so I've labeled it so that on the top here we have the months just all along the top row to show which month that we're doing for each month of the year. So here we've got our first month of January, and you can see, whoops, that's just the backing there. But you can see here's January all coming down this entire row. And then on this side, I did the legend. This is the gauge of the temperature and the colors that I used for each of those. So we did have a few days that were over 100, so I was able to use 100, this color up here. And then the range goes through, this is degrees 94 to 99. Any of those days that had that degree, that was the color that I used. I went all the way down. The coldest one was anywhere from 0 to 9 degrees. I did have a color set aside in case we went below 0, but we never did in 2021. And there is that possibility we may have that this year. We don't get very many of them below 0, but every now and then we do. And then on the bottom of the quilt, I embroidered the year just so I can see what the year is. So that is my finished temperature quilt. The backing is just a simple backing there. The quilting that I did on it was just a very simple grid, and you can kind of see it as it comes out into the gray, but I just quilted across each row and down each column, and I continued the quilting across for each row, and then I continued it up for each column, and then on the bottom I only continued the quilting down on the outline of each of these. I didn't want to quilt into the year. I really enjoyed making the temperature quilt. It took me a little bit longer than I had hoped, but it's a great way of just recording temperatures throughout the year and getting really a pretty visual quilt. I especially like having the legend on there because I can see on the front of the quilt what the colors mean. I could have put it on the label on a back, but I know that I tend to be lazy and I don't want to keep looking on the back of the quilt to figure out what that all means. Now I have one more project that I want to show you. So we're going to actually travel and go someplace else. Okay, we have now moved into my bedroom for the next quilt. This quilt is too large for me to actually hold up and show in my studio. It's also very dark outside and it's been raining all day. This is a mystery quilt that someone in my quilt guild online had designed. This gal makes some great mystery quilts, and so I really enjoy following those when she does them. We're kind of her test group before she creates the pattern and develops it for other groups. I think she had called for a medium and then a dark, and the dark was going to be the main color. I chose to do for mine 30s fabrics because I love 30s, and then accent that with the black. So for mine, I actually swapped what the colors were for each clue, so that I was using black in place of where she called for lights or the whites, and I was using 30s in place for where she was calling for darks. So this is my quilt. It is a nice queen quilt, so it fits my bed. And then this is the border treatment that I did around the quilt, which I'm really happy about. For the quilting, I just did a basic meander, and I did that on my long arm machine. And then the backing is just a flannel. This is a nice soft flannel in something that looks like it fits with the 30s colors. Now, I did mention that I quilted this quilt on my long arm. Let me actually show you what that machine is and what I'm meaning by my long arm machine. Hey, I wanted to show you the machine that I use currently for a lot of my quilting. This is a quilting frame. It is the Grace Company Q-Zone Pro frame. And so this is the frame here and this carriage machine, or just the carriage that comes with it. And this is nice because I can then put a machine on top of this, any machine that will fit in there. And what I have on there is a Juki 2000. You can see in the background I do my other sewing on another Juki. That's a 2010. They're great machines. They do a straight stitch and are really nice and precise. So this machine, then I can stand, and the machine itself will then move around as my quilt is loaded on here. So it took a learning curve, and I think sometime I'll do another video showing you how I do quilting on this quilt frame, how I set it up, things like that. These are just different aspects that are used in doing the quilting. But that's what I did my large queen quilt on, and this is the width of the machine, which my queen quilt is much wider, so it takes a lot of moving around, but in the long run it's a lot easier because I don't have any of the stress on my shoulders and my arms of physically moving the quilt around through the machine. I'm using this machine to quilt around. So that's what I use to quilt on any of my quilts now that are a good size. Well, I hope you enjoyed seeing at least two of the quilts that I've finished just recently, my temperature quilt and also the mystery quilt made of the 30s and black material, and also just getting a glimpse at the machine that I do my quilting on. I know it's kind of a little bit of a disjointed video, but I do have a couple of kind of bigger projects that I'm going to be working on, and I hope to be able to kind of bring you along with me as I'm doing those projects. If you have any questions or comments, you can comment below or send me an email at sewitseamscreations@outlook.com. You can also like and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy what you're seeing and would like to see more. I'd love to have you part of just my very small little community here. We don't have a lot of people here, but I enjoy what I'm doing and I hope you enjoy it too. So this is, once again, Veronica Johnson with Sew It Seams, And remember, keep quilting.